It's a great honor, it's a great privilege for me to welcome you all here tonight to this year's edition of the International AA Convention here in Aarhus. Whether you consider yourself a member of AA, AL-Anon, NA, DAA, OA, or whichever A, any other 12-step program, whether you're a relative, partner, friend, colleague, a very warm welcome. A special welcome, of course, to Audrey and Margareta, who have both accepted our invitation to come here and share their experiences with us, at least some of them, and tell us a lot about their ideas and visions regarding working the steps and living the program. Thank you so much for coming. I have a checklist. A little bit of practical information before we start, before I forget it live. Smoking is absolutely prohibited, also on the outside. I know you will do it anyway, but please help us not to leave any cigarette butts on the ground outside. It would be a great help for us. At the back of the room, to my right, so that'll be to your left, unless you turn around, but please don't turn around now. We have our catering selling points where we will be selling coffee, tea, cold beverages. I've been informed that beer is sold out. I'm sorry about that. We have some sandwiches, cake. To my left, to your right, unless you turn around, but don't turn around right now. We have the information desk where you can get information. Surprise. You can get information about the program here. You can get information about AA in general. We have some literature in English and in Danish. Of course, all approved by the headquarters in New York. For tomorrow night, we are having a dinner, and you can buy tickets for the dinner tomorrow night at the information desk at 100 kroner. I know the cook, I know it's going to be very, very tasty. We will, during the night and tomorrow, we will make collections for voluntary contributions. The convention this year has been, for a great part, financed by contributions last year. So please help us to make it possible to make a convention again next year. And maybe we should also all keep in mind what we have gotten for free. I've got a lot for free, at least. Jesus. It's a little bit ahead of schedule, but I've got nothing clever to say right now. So at least you disapprove. I suggest we get started. First thing tonight is Margareta's speech. So the word is yours.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm. My name is Margareta and I'm a recovered alcoholic. And my sobriety date is the 14th of April 2007. And for that I am extremely grateful. And I had nothing to do with that. I want to tell you that we are very, very honored to be here. It's a privilege to come. I've been here before. I was here last year and I was here the year before that. I've been in Denmark a few times some years ago, quite a few years ago, and I came here with Rune Smage to Borge Best hver gang. You know, you could go to Denmark and you could buy beer and alcohol for free here and in the shops. And I've been to Christiania and I've been everywhere, you know. I'm going to tell you a little bit how I was and what happened and how I am today. And I'm brought up in a normal family, non-alcoholics, no alcoholics in my family. I'm a twin sister, and my twin sister has never had a problem with alcohol. None whatsoever. And we've had the same parents, we've had the same upbringing, we've been to the same schools, and I just had it and she didn't. So alcoholism has got nothing to do with my upbringing. That's what I thought for a long, long time. You know, all the drama in the family or whatever happened. I came from a good family. A good family. But I had it in me. And I talked to my twin sister, and she's such a good example on this. You know, when we talked today, she asked me, when we were kids, do you remember when we were at that place, when we played theater at that time? And I said, do you remember that girl in the other class? And I said, no, I don't remember. I don't remember. And she can remember names, she could remember whatever we'd done. And I had no recollection. Because I was already in myself. I was self-absorbed before I took my first drink when I was a child. And it's, you know, incredibly short memory. I couldn't remember. And I took my first drink when I was 14, and the magic happened. I've been in that bubble. I mean, everything looked okay on the outside. I had interest. I was horse riding and did other stuff, but I wasn't really present. I was in that bubble all the time. And when I drank for the first time, I just woke up. It was magic. It was an internal shift. It was like, yes, this is how it should be. This is how it should feel to live, you know. I mean, alcohol was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I mean, I could talk to everyone. And I remember the first time, and I remember it was white wine, and I was together with some other people, and I drank a little and nothing happened, and then suddenly that magic happened. And that was immediately recorded in my mind as success, you know? And from that moment on, I didn't drink all the time, but I was thinking about drinking. How can I get to feel like that again? You know? I didn't drink all the time, I was in school and all that. But I knew I found my solution. I knew what to do to feel okay. That was magic. That was magic. It wasn't just like I felt good and, you know, I wanted to go talk to people. It was an internal shift, really. That feeling of ease and comfort that it says in the doctor's opinion. I felt whole. And I started to thinking about next time. When can I drink the next time? And I finished school. We moved to Stockholm, both my twin sister and me. She got a job at an office, and I met an English disc jockey who was an amphetamine addict. And I mean, our roads separated right there, because I knew what I wanted to do. and we had a child, and of course it finished, and I was just happy to get rid of him, and I went into other relationships, and I sat in the parks, and I drank, and I drank, and I overdrank every time. I mean, I've been drinking alcoholically from the very, very start. And that's how it went on. Year after year after year. And I also went abroad, and I did all sorts of things. And my family was, they didn't know what to do with me. And they didn't even know where I was. And I didn't know that I had an allergy to alcohol. I just knew that I could not stop drinking when I wanted to. I always overdrank. Always overdrank. And I never knew what was going to happen. I could start to drink. I'm just going to take a few drinks tonight. And then I woke up 3 days later and I didn't know what had happened. I went into blackouts. And I drank like crazy for 10 years. Like crazy, all the time. And I was with people I would never, today be together with. I did some really crazy stuff. Then I came from an abusive relationship that I put myself in. In 1979, I came up to my parents, where I live today, and I had a plastic bag in my left hand, and I had my daughter in the other. Thank God for parents. Thank God for parents. But I didn't stop drinking. But I started to try and control it, because I couldn't drink like I was used to when I had my parents around me, and I started to control it. Today I won't drink. Today I won't drink. And I tried to keep sober in the weeks. But I met an alcoholic, of course, so we drank during the weekends like crazy. And I drank sort of behind him. I used him as an excuse because he got all crazy when he drank. He went over that stage, very fast, and I was sort of, I'm better than him. I don't drink like he does, But I couldn't stop drinking. And it was, I've been drinking probably more years than most of you have been alive. Because when I look back, it's 40 years of drinking. I've also used outside stuff, but I am a real alcoholic, and I could not stay away from it. And it didn't matter how many consequences I got, I always went back to that first drink. And every time I went back to that first drink, I could not control the amount. I got drunk. And bad things happened. And I don't know how many mornings I've woken up after, 3-4 days of drinking when I couldn't control it. I never knew how long I was going to drink. And I woke up after 3-4 days in blood, sweat and tears, and I was in front of the mirror, and I said, please God, if I just make it this time, make it back this time, I will never, ever do it again. But after 2-3 days, sometimes 2 hours, I changed my mind. I thought, well, I just go and have a little. I just go and have a few. And it's a strange thing with this mental thing, because I could be very, very restless, irritable and discontent. And when this arguing starts in my head, I have no choice anymore. This arguing, when it starts, this thought that is the obsession that is stronger than any other thought comes, I have absolutely no power to stop it. And I remember I went, I was restless, I was nervous, I have to have something. I go in the car, I go to the nearest city, and in Sweden, as you know, we have this Systembolaget, we have to go to a certain place to buy it, and I was tense, go inside, I'll take a few beers, and I knew it would never be enough. I mean, I drank for 40 years, I never had enough. And I thought, I take some more, and I take another bottle, and this one. And I was sort of shaking, and I went to the cashier, and the lady who sat there, and I was sweating, and I paid, and I got all the bottles down in the plastic bag, and I just looked around, nobody saw me, I made it this time, and I went to the car, and I put the plastic bags in the car, shut the door, and then suddenly I was okay. And then I could go shopping for hours. And I felt like I was on a cloud, What is that? What is that? How can that thing change? I hadn't even drank yet. But I knew I had the solution in the car. And that's why I was content. It went on for years and years and years, and it got worse and worse and worse, as it says in the book. It never gets better, it only gets worse. And my last drink lasted for 1.5 years. I've been to 3 treatment centers. That didn't keep me sober. I learned, they said I was an alcoholic, you can't drink. And my first treatment center, I felt great, because I met others who was like me, and they told me, you're an alcoholic, you can't drink. Okay, so I can't drink. Okay, I go home, and I don't drink then. That must be the solution. And I was happy, and I came home, and I didn't drink, and it was okay for a time. And then it started to come. This restlessness, this irritability, I was bored. I didn't know what to do. I was like this. And I remember I was standing in the kitchen window looking out on people going with their sticks and with their dogs, and they were laughing, and I just thought, how do they do that? How can they be so happy just going out with a stupid dog or with their sticks, And I was in my kitchen, and I was like this, what to do. And my mind, I can't stand myself. I can't be in my own skin. And I had my solution. I had to drink. I had to drink to get out of myself. And I went to another treatment, and I went to a third treatment, and I started to take sedatives to be able to function without drinking. It got worse and worse and worse. My last treatment, the first 2, I went to myself, and I was very proud of that. I said, I searched, I asked them to come, I'm a good person, I want to do something about my problem, But the last one, when I came back from my last drink that lasted 1.5 years, I was in India, I drank 24 hours a day, I passed out in the street, I couldn't find myself home. Someone told me, but it was only 50 meters away, but I didn't know that. I was all gone, and I was full of pills as well. And I don't think I would have survived if I didn't get a message from home that my mother had died. And I couldn't go home on my own. I got help to come home. And I was coming home, people helped me to come home, and I came to the village, and I stumbled in on my mother's funeral in the garden, and I was just wacko. I wasn't drunk that day, but I was full of pills, and I was 30 kilos underweight. I was nothing. I was dying. And I remember I was talking to everyone there, and the priest, I don't know what I said. But my daughter was there, and my whole family was there. And I had this moment of clarity when my daughter took me aside. She'd been so angry, she said, I'm not going to speak to her, I don't want to see her again, you know, they didn't know if I was dead or alive. And she took me aside, and I remember this as what do you call it, blitzed, something that happened. She took me aside, she took my hands, she looked me in the eyes, and I saw her eyes, and I could see her soul, sort of. And she said to me, Mommy, you are dying, and you have to do something, because I only have you, she said. And there was, I could see for the first time that it was me. I had caused all this, I had this tremendous moment of clarity. It was like a video in my head. And after that, I don't remember anything. Nothing at all. I just surrendered, and I just knew that I was doomed. It wasn't a nice feeling, but I knew I couldn't take another pill. I couldn't take another drink. And I spent the 3 months in the cellar of a good friend who let me stay there. And I had the most terrible months in my life, and I am so grateful for those months. I didn't understand that I was detoxing from the pills. I could have died. I don't recommend it to anyone. But I surrendered totally, and I was, nobody had to tell me to go down on my knees and pray to something I didn't know what it was. Because I was praying all the time. Please help me to get out of bed. Please help me to eat half a banana. Please help me to be able to walk up the stairs. Please help me all the time, all the time, all the time. It was a horrendous time. And I remember I read every book in the house to get out of me. And that was when I got to my last treatment, and that was not of my choice. I had no choice. But I went to that treatment, and as I can see today that when I really surrendered, I was led. I was led to the right people, to the, because I was desperate. And I was so fearful at that last treatment, and they couldn't even let me home. I was the first one they tried to. They sent me home and to come back again, and home and back again, because they saw that I couldn't take care of myself. So that was what happened, and I went to an after treatment sort of. And he didn't know what to do with me. He hadn't done the steps, but he gave me Gresham's Law. And at the last treatment center, I found the big book, and I read A Vision for You. And I just knew I have to find these people. I have to find these people. And I got Gresham's Law. And then they sent me to a seminar about the 12 steps. And I went there, and I was in AA for 9 years. In and out. In and out. But no, I never saw a big book. I just saw the steps on the wall, and I thought, oh, horrible stuff that. And everyone just share whatever you want, or what's nearest to your heart. And I mean, I'm a real alcoholic. That was not sufficient for me. Many people in AA can stay sober on the fellowship, but it says in the book, on page 34, I think it is, that to be able to stay sober on a non-spiritual basis depends on if you have lost the power of choice. And I needed something else. And when I came to that seminar, I knew that this is what I have to do, or I am going to die. Because I knew here that I was doomed. That the question was not if I'm going to drink again. The question was when. When will I pick up that drink again? And I was crazy there as well, you know, people they looked at me because I said, this is not a course for me, this is about life and death. This is about life and death for me. And I went back to AA, the AA that hadn't worked for me. And there was one man in those meetings who had done the steps. And he saw where I was. And he said to me, Margareta, you have to do the steps. You are like me. And I've done the steps, you know. And I was led to the right people. And there was a new group starting, and they called themselves Into Action. And there was a small group of people who were, you know, passionate about this program. They had just found it, and they just started a group. And they said, come to us. And I went there. And it was just awesome, because I understood this is the place where I have to be. And they helped me to take me through the steps. And I had no problem and no resistance whatsoever, because I knew in here. But I also knew I needed more. I needed more, because they were very new in this, and didn't have a sponsor. But one thing led to another, and I went out on Skype, and I went to Skype meetings with a guy from Dallas, Cliff, and I got a sponsor through him, and she was from Denmark. And she took me through the steps from the big book. And I am so incredibly grateful for that, you know, because that was a revelation for me to take the steps like that. And she didn't want to listen to any of my crap, nothing at all. She said, I'm not interested in that. She said, are you willing to go to any length? And I said, yes. Are you really willing to go to any length? And I was quiet for a little bit, and then I said, yes. And I thought, if she asked me to come to Denmark tomorrow, I'll go. I'll go tomorrow. And I really, for the first time, understood from the book, the first step, that I was powerless over alcohol. I have a mind that takes me back to the first drink. What do you say? sober, cold stone sober, takes me back to the first drink. I have a mind I cannot trust. I can't trust my own thinking. You know? And there was one line I got there, and that was, Margareta, you can never have peace of mind without alcohol in your bloodstream. And I started to understand what I was suffering from. And I thought, yes, that's why. That's why I'm like this all the time. That's why I'm so restless and irritable and discontent. You know, because I long for that feeling of ease and comfort that comes at once when I've taken a few drinks. But I have an allergy to alcohol, so I can't take just a few drinks. That's my problem. Every time I do it, I get drunk again. So she took me through the steps. And it was a revelation for me, because it was exactly from the book. And I have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. And that is a miracle. And I'm not the miracle. The program of AA is the miracle. I just needed to be willing to do everything that they had done to get what they had. And I was. And I have, it's 7 years now, and it took me some time to get into recovery, but when I took it all. And I don't know how long I've been talking. And I'm just thinking about, I'm sponsoring women today, and that's a gift, that's a new meaning in my life. I have never been useful in my life before. I've been a burden to everyone. I've been like a tornado running through the lives of others. And today I have a new meaning in my life, and I know why I'm here. I know why I'm here. It's pure grace, because I have done nothing to deserve it. I have done absolutely nothing to deserve it. And that's grace. That's grace. And I have a new meaning in my life, and I went out to try and help others very early. Because my problem is selfishness and self-centeredness. I was self-absorbed with myself. And to get out of me, I have to start to do selfless actions. And that's what I did very early in my recovery. Very early. Selfishness, self-centeredness, that is the root of our problems. And I did the moral inventory, and I saw the truth about myself. And it was not what I thought. I thought, I'm not so bad, I'm quite good, you know. I've been dishonest with everyone. I've used people all the time. I've been lying, I've been cheating, I've been letting people down. Everything was about me. What I wanted, what I thought I needed. You know, I was like a tornado. But at the time, I couldn't do it any other way, because I was driven, as it says in the book. I didn't have a choice, because I was so sick. I couldn't see. Driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-pity, like it says in the book. But I hurt so many people on my way, and I've done so many amends, and they have been sincere. I have many left, because I've been around for 40 years and I've been everywhere in the world. Alcohol took me everywhere. Alcohol was the power by which I could live. And then it turned to be the power which I couldn't live by that power anymore, because it didn't work anymore. I was standing there, I couldn't live with it, but I couldn't live without it. I was there. I was at a turning point. And my problem was that I didn't know how to live without alcohol. And that's what this program has taught me. And I did not have a God in my life. And today I have a God in my life. And I have a way of life that works for a real alcoholic like me. And it works if I work it. And I'm not sitting here just to have another year of sobriety or something. I'm here to share with you for permanent sobriety. Because that is what this program is all about. It's not to just... I am recovered today, but I need to give this away. And about about the women, we need women to carry this message, because women are dying out there. They are dying out there, and every one of you who have taken the steps and are sponsoring other women, thank you. Thank you. And go out and do it again, and do it again, so that more of us can recover. Because we are many. In the beginning, they didn't even think that women could be alcoholics. They should have seen me. Yeah. But it's important, that you know where I come from. That it's a miracle that I sit here today, and I'm not a miracle, it's the program of AA, and that I have really found a power that is greater than myself, by which I can live day by day by day, using these tools in this program. And it says that it will show you exactly and precisely how to recover. It's a very, very exact and precise program. And that's what my first sponsor gave me. You do this, then you do that, then you do that, And I have a life today that I could never, ever have dreamt about, I live in a nice little house. I have 2 wonderful little cats. I'm working again. I love my work. I love my co-workers. And I have a God in my life. I have my children back. I will come to that later, but I have them back, and I have my grandchildren, and I have a full life. A full life. And I have peace of mind in my heart. And I am so incredibly grateful for this program and what the founders have given me. And everyone who really, really identify with the problem can get this, because it says, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. And our path is the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous that they wrote down for us. And I hope you understood everything. I'm not that good in English. But I think I will stop there. Thank you. Thank you all.
My name is Henrik, I'm an alcoholic. Whoa! Thank you. That was... Yeah, there's not a lot that can be said anymore. Thank you so much, Margareta.
Thank you.
Very touching.